You are now clear to begin the meeting.
Okay. New Beginnings Toastmasters Club, please come to order. Lee Walker, the Sergeant at Arms for the club this year. I want to welcome all Toastmasters to our virtual meeting this evening. I think we have all of our meeting role participants online now. And at this time, we'll call up Genevieve for invocation or joke. So Genevieve.
Genevieve Marshall, please unmute your microphone. Here she goes.
Sorry.
Here I go. Can you see me? David, can you see me?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you, everyone. If you accept the expectations of others, especially negative ones, then you will never change the outcome. That is by Michael Jordan. So I am going to mute myself again because my son is about to cry.
Mr. President, you're up.
What you working with, President?
Hailing David Marshall.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is manual operation. I thought you was unmuting. Okay, that's fine. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I know times are kind of crazy this time of the season. And we're all kind of stuck in the house. So we didn't want to cancel this event. We surely wanted to meet everyone, see all your lovely and handsome faces, and just make sure everyone is well and in good spirits. So we're going to have one speaker today, and I want to welcome, we have 2 area directors on this call. Miss Corey Fonville, did I say your name properly? Corey? I think we're on manual, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm actually the assistant division director for Division D, but I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Assistant Division Director. Awesome. And we have our area director, Ms. Valerie Gray. Good evening, Valerie.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you are going to enjoy this meeting. This is my first Zoom, so I want to see how it goes. We can start doing it in our club also.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is our first time doing a fully virtual Zoom meeting, and we are honored to be doing this, and we hope to have a fun evening. So now I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the evening, going back to Mr. Lee Walker. Lee?
Okay, thank you, David. So David said earlier we have one, or I guess, Robert, are you going to give the educational session tonight?
Certainly, I can do that. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so it's next. So go ahead, Rob.
So consistent with our VPE's wishes, Mr. David Marshall, we are going to have 5 to 10 minute educational sessions for our new club, most meetings, if not all. And tonight we're going to be talking about kind of the typical protocols of a meeting, handing off a lectern and stuff like that. Tonight, instead of actually having a physical lectern, we're going to have a virtual lectern. How we're going to do that is, you've kind of seen that a little bit. Whenever anybody says, and now I'd like to call up speaker number 1. At that point, speaker number one would be Harry. Harry would unmute his microphone, and if he wanted to show his video, he could present his video as well at that point. So that's more of a handing off of that position. At the point that he has turned on his microphone and his video, then you, as the person who just invited him up, should mute your microphone. You can keep your video up, obviously. And that's how we're going to deal with the handoff. The second thing is much like in a regular Toastmasters meeting where, you know, we're not just all talking during somebody's speech or anything like that. We will actually sit there and, like, you know, you want to hear what they have to say. You know, try not to heckle them too much. So, and if anybody is speaking, we're not going to try to like walk in front of their speech. So if somebody's speaking, try to also keep your own microphone on mute. Your video can still be up, but don't try to be too distracting or anything like that. So if you have some children in the background, or some other lovely family, or maybe like a really obnoxious grandfather, just make sure that your microphone is on mute so it's not disturbing the presenting speaker. But beyond that, I think everybody should have a wonderful evening. I think we'll kind of pick up the rest as we go along, but the primary thing here is if you want to speak and it's your turn to speak, have your microphone open. If it's not your turn to speak, try to have your microphone on mute, but always be wary of what people are saying, because just like David called out Valerie and Corey to say, hey, we have two special people here tonight, you know, try to hear your name from time to time. There might be a question. And also with table topics, Andrew's going to pick at random. So we're not scheduling table topics ahead of time. So we might call on some people who are not scheduled directly. So Cleo might get called at the last minute to be table topics, and not just, you know, and same thing with like Josh Puerto or John Gregory. So if you're one of those people, especially table topics, remember, listen for your name and try to unmute your microphone. And then when you're done, mute it back again. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Lee Walker. Not sure if we got to hang up on Lee. Are you there? Are you there, Lee?
Okay,
All right, it's on
thanks,
you, bud.
Robert. So we have one. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we have one speaker tonight, Harry Harmon. He's working in the Persuasive Influence Pathways Level 3. Project is Connect with Storytelling. The title of his speech is My Job at McDonald's. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. And Harry's going to talk about his job from beginning to present. So let's welcome Harry Harmon.
One interjection while we're waiting for Harry to join in. We should take this moment to introduce our timer, Cleo Robertson.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? I'm going to go ahead and read a document that I put together about my timer role. As a timer, I will time the table topic speakers, formal speeches, and the evaluation. I will alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red virtual Zoom backgrounds that I've loaded in, and I will show you how I did that, which will denote specific times remaining. I will now go ahead and demonstrate how I'm going to do that. I have a computer that's not compatible with the Zoom green screen less feature. I do have a green screen, but I'm going to show this to you for you all who may not have a green screen at home. I'm going to cover my webcam with a white piece of paper that will block me out and just only show the virtual background. I'm going to go to my settings in Zoom. Under the video section in the lower left corner, I'm going to click on choose virtual background. Then I'm going to go ahead and place a, piece of paper. Let me switch over my camera. Razor, hold on. Gotta switch my camera right quick. Okay. And then put this on right quick. So my green screen is terrible. Like without the green screen, that green screen less feature is terrible. So I'm gonna cover up my camera. See if it works. Something like that. So, okay. So we have table topics, which is 1 to 2 minutes, correct? At 1 minute, I'm gonna show my green virtual background. At 1.5 minutes, my yellow. At 2 minutes, the red. We have 5 to 7 minute speech. At 5 minutes, green. At 6 minutes, yellow. At 7 minutes, red. For the evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes, green is 2 minutes, 2.5 is yellow, and 3 minutes is red. And I think that's it, correct? And at the end, I'll provide my report. I can go ahead and do a share screen, and I'll show you all my timer report at the end or when called upon to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody hear me?
How do we applaud?
With our hands, clap like this.
Everybody
Oh,
hear me?
Hear you, Harry.
Yes, Harry, we hear you.
Okay. All right. So I can begin timing, I suppose. Let's see. So today's speech will be more of like a nonfiction storytelling, because all of the things I am saying are true. So as the title said, I work at McDonald's, and I have been since 2017. I originally worked there at first only because I needed more money, and I was working at Food Line at the time, but I wasn't making enough hours at Food Line. They kept cutting my hours, and that just wasn't gonna work for me. So I thought maybe it would be a good idea to combine 2 jobs. So I did that for a little while, but then I realized that having 2 jobs, one job that you're not really having any hours, the other job where you're getting a lot of hours, wasn't really worthwhile. So I quit Food Line, and I currently I work at McDonald's, and I still do. So a little bit about McDonald's that people don't, I thought I would be seeing a lot of Ronald McDonald and stuff like that, but apparently he has left the building and nobody likes him anymore. He's kind of a freak, apparently. So Ronald McDonald is out, and Happy Meals aren't as big a deal as they were when I was a kid either, which was kind of sad because the toys are kind of trash, honestly. But definitely is true that when you work back at McDonald's, your uniform is going to stink, and the stink necessarily won't ever come out of the uniform. And so what I do is I cook, and I was trained to cook, and I really, fortunately, some of my trainers weren't always the best at telling me how to do what I'm supposed to do. So like every time when I first started, every time when I try to cook something, one manager would say, "Who taught you to do that?" "Oh, so-and-so told me to do that." "Oh, don't listen to so-and-so. They don't know what they're talking about," even though they were a manager. And then I would do it that person's way, and then another person would tell me the same thing about that person. So it's like a big mixed up on what's the right thing to do. And then I figured out that there is no real right thing to do. Everybody does things their own way. And unfortunately, not everybody thinks that the way that one person does it is the right way. But that's just like the real world in the way. But McDonald's is a great place to work, nonetheless. I enjoy a fast food environment. I think that I've matured a lot working there. I've learned a lot of good skills on how to deal with people, and even though I don't really deal with customers at all, which is excellent because I don't like working with customers. They kind of annoy me, no lie. I used to work with customers when I worked at Food Line, and they used to drive me insane. So now I just hear about the customers driving the other people insane, and I don't actually have to be insane myself. Although I'm insane as it is, so it doesn't really matter. Crazy is me anyway, so that is what I is or am. So definitely an interesting place to work too. I said it was a good place to work, and I'll talk about why it's interesting because you get a lot of different types of people that work there. You get people that you might never know if you're going to be by yourself the whole day because some people just decide to come in when they want. One guy came in 4 hours late, and then the next day he didn't come in, and then he came in 3 hours late the next day, and then the next day he didn't come in. So it's like unpredictable. Even though they keep getting hours too, which gets me. Even though they don't come in. Finally, he got fired because they got tired of it. But it takes a while to get fired. It's hard to get fired from a job at McDonald's, which is really strange. You can be at your worst behavior and still have a job. But I still think that's a really good way to live. So I try to be good and stay on the right track. That being said, we are a franchise. A lot of people think our owner needs to get some new equipment. We have a lot of ancient artifacts that we use to cook food, which makes our food take longer, and customers always get antsy about their food taking a while. But it's because we have these ancient machines from the 1930s that cook eggs and stuff that are just archaic, and they take a while to work. They're old, just like, they take a while. But nonetheless, interesting and good. And there's also, to go with the interesting and good, there is the bad part of it. There's not really a bad part, though. I want to say there's a rewarding part to it instead of the bad, because really there is nothing bad about that job. It's actually a really good job. I actually still am working 30 to 35 hours a week because the drive-through is still open and we have takeout. So unlike a lot of people who are stuck at home, I am still making money and earning a salary and being able to go to work every day. So that's definitely something that's rewarding to me. And I feel bad for people that don't have that ability. At the same time, I take it as a gift that I can work, because I had a job last year at this time. I was working at Waffle House, and now all the Waffle Houses are closed down. So if I were still at Waffle House, my job would be gone too. Although that job was not really that great to begin with, but that's another speech for another time. So trying to see if I can find the lights here. Okay, I found the light. I saw the light. All right. Let's see. So that is the story of my job at McDonald's, which I currently work at. Hoping this coronavirus scare thing goes away a little bit, so that I don't know. Every time I see somebody cough at the McDonald's, I always worry that they have the coronavirus, and I have to run away and freak out, because this is the way I am. So that is it. Thank you. End of speech.
Thank you, Harry. Cleo, put 1 minute for evaluation, please.
How are we doing evaluations?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to offer Harry any feedback, just send him a personal message using the chat within Zoom. with any pointers that she might have.
Seven seconds. Time's up.
Hey, Lee, we lost connectivity on your microphone. Hey, Lee, unmute yourself.
What are we waiting for?
We are waiting for Lee Walker.
Can our admin unmute his microphone?
I tried, it won't let me. Can't even find him.
Well, I hope all you guys are staying positive through this virus stuff and lockdown. I know it's not easy.
We're trying.
Well, while we're waiting on Lee, I'd like to acknowledge our guests. We have some guests. If you're not a New Beginnings Toastmasters member and you're visiting us, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Please, one at a time. I guess I'll start with Miss Odessa. Would you like to say anything? Tell us a little about yourself, maybe 15 seconds or so. You have to unmute. There you go.
Oh, here I go. Hi, my name is Odessa J. Cox. I'm a member of Uptown Voices in Norfolk, Virginia. And currently I'm the secretary of our club, and I'm here with my president, Ray Riddick. Ray? You have to unmute yourself, Ray. There you go.
I am so happy to be with you guys this evening. We were trying to figure out how to make this work for us. I am from Uptown Voices, and I see you guys are doing a great job here with this video concept. Hopefully, we can do the very same. And maybe on your next, if you don't mind, we can join you all again.
You're always welcome.
What do you want?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our maximum is 100.
We have plenty of space.
We're only allowed to have 10 members at a time.
Oh.
Guys.
What's that?
Yeah, ha ha ha.
We're only allowed to have 10 members at a time. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I think virtually means a little different.
I don't want to get a virus from my phone from you guys.
I think Lee's back on. Lee, are you back on? No, he isn't.
David, do you
He
want to take
was there a second ago. Well, since we're going into table topics, I'll go ahead and take over from here while Lee figures this stuff out. Alrighty. Well, welcome to Table Topics. I am your Table Topics Master, Andrew Bullock. Purpose of Table Topics is to give you an impromptu question, give you an opportunity to spend 1 to 2 minutes to answer that question without any prepared speech. Just keep an eye on Cleo's camera so that you know that you've reached your minimum time of 1 minute. So, my first victim is going to be Miss Elizabeth Clare.
Dun, dun, dun.
Could you hold on just a moment? I need to switch my camera over. Sorry.
All right. Elizabeth, can you unmute your microphone while we're waiting?
Okay, one more time.
All righty. Welcome. So now I haven't asked a question yet. I was just waiting for you to unmute your microphone. All right. See, everybody else is muted. All right, excellent. So, what are you doing to combat cabin fever? What are you doing to combat cabin fever?
Actually, I don't have cabin fever because I have a dog here to keep me company. I've got a backyard, and the dog takes me for a walk every day. And I have a lot of work to do because I can work at home. I'm one of those lucky people who has a computer-based job. Excuse me, the dog wants to be in on this too. Come over here. Come on. Well, that was her choice. I don't know how many minutes she took up of my time, but she doesn't like me to talk when she's not talking. She wants to be part of the conversation. So I don't have cabin fever, and it's mostly because when I was a little kid, I was always all alone because my mother worked the night shift, and when I got home from school, I was all alone until the next day. So I learned how to really fend for myself without being lonely. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. All right. My next victim, let's see, Jennifer Newman. Are you on?
Okay.
All right. So, we've had a lot of movies over the years that predicted our doomsday scenario. Which one seemed the most likely to you 5 years ago?
Well, that is a great question because disaster movies are one of my favorite genres, and I don't know why, but my husband makes fun of me all the time because of that. So I've watched 2012. I think that one talked about when they all run together, but I've watched 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, Will Smith's zombie movie. So I don't think this situation is going into a zombie apocalypse at the moment. So I would say maybe it's closer to something like Contagion or Outbreak, in that one disease started in one place and then started spreading all over to everybody. So that is the movie that I would say is most like right now. And 5 years ago, I never would have predicted that something like this could have happened, even though we know other places have been exposed to things like Ebola and SARS and all of those type of diseases, but I never thought it would touch us in the way it is now, and I really hope it ends soon.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right. Our next victim is going to be Corey Fonville.
Okay.
All right. So, what is the worst shopping experience you've ever had in your life?
That is a good question. the worst shopping experience I've ever had in my life would actually probably not be food or clothing, but shopping for a dog was definitely a trying time for me. I had a cat when I was young, and I've always considered myself not to be a dog person, but I married somebody who was, and he said, you know what, let's get a dog. And we went to the shelter, and I was trying to find a dog that resembled the size of a cat. My husband wanted a pit bull, a Rottweiler, these huge, to me, very scary animals. And I said, okay, well, I'll get a bigger animal, but I want it to be really calm and cute, cuddly. And he said, okay, well, let's go look at the medium-sized dogs. So we agreed. And when we went, we saw two dogs. They were in two cages right next to each other. And one was just sitting by the gate, quietly just looking out. And then there was another one. And if you've ever been to the shelter, they have really tall gates. And that dog just kept jumping and jumping all the way to what to me seemed like the top of the gate. Like any minute that gate was going to be flung open and that dog was going to eat me. And of course, that is the dog that my husband wanted. And somehow, that is a dog we purchased and lives with me. But it took me a good probably 6 months to, in all honesty, not be afraid of that dog. So that was the most scary, but I guess in the end, it all worked out shopping experience that I've gone through. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Corey. All right. My next victim, John Gregory. You feeling up to one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
My screen's a little dark. I apologize.
It's all good. So, for you, motorcycle or SUV?
Oh man. All right. So look, if I had to choose between a motorcycle and an SUV, I'd probably get an SUV because motorcycles are cool and all. But people around Virginia, they really can't drive. And my biggest fear would be getting on a motorcycle and just cruising along, enjoying some nice music, and then just getting hit or something. And that would suck. With an SUV, at least I have like that huge body and frame to protect me if someone hit me. Plus, with an SUV, I can go off road, go drive on the beach, go to the mountains. I can actually pull like a boat if I ever got a boat or something like that. And you can carry a lot more people in it. I got a dog as well. He's 100 pounds. He's an American bully. Takes up a lot of space. So I drive a very small car right now, and it does not work out very well. So yeah, definitely an SUV. Definitely my top pick.
All right. Thank you, John.
You heard me okay.
All right. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, I think we can get one more.
All righty.
Did y'all
Robert
hear
Ridge.
that or did I mute myself?
I believe you muted yourself.
Oh, wow,
we're,
dude. I was talking this whole time.
we're sorry about that. We're going to move on to the next question if you don't mind now. Okay. Robert Ridge, are you there? Actually, scratch that. Brenda Paredes. I know you're hiding in the background there.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Brenda, since y'all are up there in Northern Virginia, what is the worst traffic experience you've ever had?
All the time. I have really bad road rage. If I like it when the driver like thinks quick on their feet. If I'm coming in and onto the highway, for instance, if you're going 55 and I'm going 30, 25, like I'm just picking up speed, I'd expect you to pick up the pace a little bit so that I can come behind you, because there's no way for me to go 35 to 55. So I feel like it's all the time. All the time. It really depends. But I think the funniest experience I've had was probably when I was in New York, and it was my mom's first time driving in New York City. And she probably had maybe 3 feet of space between her car and the car in front of her. And there was a 16 wheeler, huge tractor trailer that wanted to get in between my mom and the car in front of her, and she was freaking out. And she's like, I can't believe this truck is trying to get in front of me. I was like, well, I guess welcome to New York. So I think that's probably the only funniest experience / amazing / incredible worst traffic experience.
All right, thank you, Brenda. All right, well, that concludes our table topics. Can I get a timers report, please?
Hold on, please. I have to write it down first. Sorry. So I have Valerie Gray has been privately chatting with me. And, and we have a dispute on the times a little bit, but it looks like at least everybody got the minimum except maybe for Odessa. I have 1 minute 12 seconds for Jennifer. I think it was actually over that because I started later. Corey, I got 1 minute 38 seconds. I think it was a little bit more than that. John Gregory, 50 seconds, but Valerie said it was 50 seconds or a minute. And then Brenda, I got 2 minutes and 1 second for tabletop.
When you say Odessa, I assume you mean Elizabeth?
Sorry. Wait a minute. What? I thought Odessa was doing. I thought Odessa
No, it was Elizabeth. Elizabeth
did.
Clare was the first person.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. For prepared speeches, for Harry's speech, I got 7 minutes and 13 seconds.
Thank you, Cleo.
Yep.
We haven't done the evaluation yet. All right. Well, at this time, I will turn it back over to our newly returned Toastmaster of the evening, Mr. Lee Walker. Hey, Lee? I cannot unmute you. Oh, there you are.
Am I on now?
Yep.
Okay. We're in the evaluation portion of the meeting, so let's welcome up our tonight's evaluator, Tammy.
Hello, everyone. Harry, what I liked about your talk was that you were grateful for your job and that you considered it a gift. So a lot of people would say, oh God, I've got to go to work today, you know, all this stuff is going on, but you didn't do any of that. You didn't complain about it. You said you were happy to have it. So I thought that was very good that you added that. You even gave us some background on McDonald's about the equipment and all, which was interesting. You tied in a current event about the coronavirus. So everybody's concerned about the coronavirus now, and you gave us a little blip of how it affected you. And by saying, you know, somebody's coughing, you're wondering if they had the coronavirus. So what I would have liked to see more of, and I challenge all of us, especially while we're using Zoom and our phones, is to make sure you have a lot of vocal variety. Because when you're just on the phone especially, and we can't even see your face, you know, it's very monotonous. So when you give it some tone, like, hey, you know, I was working with this guy at work and, you know, he don't show up on time. What the, you know, come on now. You know, give us a little more pitch and variety. Maybe even a personal story about one of your coworkers, since you don't like to hang out with the customers too much. So that would have been fun. The video or the PowerPoint, especially with the online stuff, would be very helpful so that we can see a little more and have something to watch or to catch our attention. So in summary, I really love that you thought it was a gift and you're grateful for your job, and to challenge us all to have more vocal variety, pitch and tone, and to share personal stories, videos, or even PowerPoints to make it more interesting. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Clea, can I have timers report?
2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Thank you. Is David still on?
Yes, I'm still on. We're going to do a short evaluation. We're going to turn over to Robert Ray.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am tasked with, in the absence of a general evaluator, since this is more of a streamlined meeting, I am tasked with evaluating the table topics participants. I would also like to evaluate Tammy. I'm going to start by evaluating Tammy. Tammy, that was absolutely the best evaluation I have seen you give to date. I am very proud to call you my mentee. I am your mentor. I wish I could say I was the one who taught you all that, but that would be false. A lot of that's just natural given talent. So I want to say that was excellent. You really, it's not easy to evaluate Harry because sometimes Harry presents challenges like with the video thing. That makes it very difficult because there's only so many things you can evaluate. But the way that you produced that whole process of like, okay, well, that's one challenge here, Harry, and here's all the positive things that I loved about your speech. You really did that perfectly well. So I loved how you framed the whole evaluation structure. I thought it was one of the better ones I've seen anybody give, not just you. As for the table topics participants, I'm going to start with Elizabeth. What are you doing to combat cabin fever? You had a really good intro because it got straight to the point, and you actually even started telling the story about how, okay, when I was little, I always played by myself. So I'm used to this. This is not that big of a deal, guys. Like, I loved the contradictory nature of what that was compared to like what we're actually going through. So I guess it's not a big deal to you, but I guess for everybody else it might be a big deal. Even you're an extrovert too, which I find hilarious. You don't think it's a big deal, but I love that. I would have liked to hear a little more of the story though. As a challenge, I would say prep your meeting space. If you've got a little poodle in the background who really likes to go out, and you know that you might be speaking soon, I would challenge you to maybe put her outside or give her to your housemate. But definitely good call on the table topics. I loved it. Jennifer, what disaster movie from like 5 years ago did you think was actually the most accurate or most possible? I believe was the question. I loved the background information. I thought that question fed directly into what you were looking for in your experience. I don't know if that was a pre-scripted question based upon what Andrew was going to give, but it sounded like, based on your experience, it sounded a little, prepared. And if it wasn't, then you did a wasn't so fantastic job on that front. And I really liked that because I thought the whole thing was organized. It was direct to the point. And I loved all the background. I would ask you to put more humor into it if you could, because I figured if you know it so well, that means you can put more. There should be some story or some twist or something. I know you're a funny person. So I would say if you're going to give an answer, just be you. For the next one, I would say Corey, worst shopping experience. I was really thinking you were going to come up with like a Black Friday in which like your mom's arm got broken at the same time, like somebody like keyed your car, but you actually went with the time I bought a dog, which I thought was a little funny because in my mind, I'm like, anybody buys a puppy, it's like one of their best shopping experiences. Like, he's the cutest thing ever. I love him to death. So I love how you brought it in, and it was a story that engaged us, and you really put us in the moment. Like the imagery was actually there. I could see the dog jumping up and down and being super hyper. I would challenge you because I could tell your experience, and I've seen you speak before, even on the cuff. Give us a hook. Give us a hook. If you're going to do a table topics and you're going to have a story, just start with the jumpy dog. Like, worst experience ever? Well, he was jumping up and down. And it was that brings us in. So give us a hook that brings us into your table topic, then goes directly into the question and then tell the story and then wrap it all up in a bow as a conclusion. For Mr. John Gregory, motorcycle or SUV. That was a very well organized table topics, which is hard to do, especially if you're a new speaker. So I applaud you for that, sir. That was excellent. You had a lot of good information about what you would do and why it was that you would choose an SUV over a motorcycle. So I loved that part of it. I wanted, even though you were constantly answering the question, constantly give us examples why and what you could do, I also wanted to hear a story with that. I felt like there was enough background that you could have led into a story. So I would challenge you to do that next time. If you have a table of topics, the first thing that pops into your head, do that, but then try to attach a story with it along the way. And then finally, Brenda, how are you? So I would say for Brenda, your worst traffic experience. Your point was you went directly to the point. You had wonderful organization of opening, body, conclusion. Table topics sometimes are just, oh, here's the story. So the fact that you organize it like a speech, I love that. I would challenge you to, like Tammy said, be a little bit less monotone and not flick off the person that's giving you an evaluation. And I would also challenge you to just be a little bit more engaging when you actually get that table topic. Be a little bit, use your natural humor. You love to laugh. So laugh about the experience. Think, oh, I can remember this happened, and just put us in that moment. And I would like to pass it back over to Mr. David Marshall. David.
Interesting. It says to hold down the space bar for temporary unmuting, but it doesn't work. So thanks, Robert. Great questions. I guess I'm going to be wrapping this up, closing marks. I think we had some great evals. I want to thank you to the team, to the leadership who helped throw this impromptu event together, because we had some speakers that couldn't make it tonight. And so I had a lot of help from the leadership to make sure that this event stayed an event instead of just canceling and passing it off. And we didn't want to do that because we wanted to just definitely check in on everybody during these times. See if there's way. I challenge all of us to check on each other. We're family here. I'm very honored to know everyone. And I think there's great people here in Toastmasters. So I want to thank you all for coming on. And I just challenge us to check on our loved ones, check on our friends, see if there's a way that we can help each other while staying within the guidelines of social distancing. Maybe we can pick up some pre-wrapped meals and take it to a friend real quick, drop it off, and run off really fast, as long as we stay 6 feet apart. This is something that we can't let this unprecedented situation change who we are and how we operate. We have to keep in our mind that it's temporary. and it's going to pass, and everything will get back to normal. But in the meantime, we still should keep our hopes up, our spirits up, and think about each other. I also want to say that, hey, we're stuck in the house. Now's a good time to get that honey-do list done, right? Let's get the, get the honey-do list done. Let's get our personal development done. Let's get our speeches done. Let's work on ourselves instead of sitting around and watching TVs. Let's get our stuff done, and then come back to these virtual Toastmasters events and knock out our pathways, right? Let's get it done. I just want to encourage you to sign on, stay connected, and I want to thank you. What? What's that? Go ahead, Robert. You can comment on that because you're showing something I don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead and comment. What is that?
Just so everybody knows, the dog on the left, not the one with the glasses, that's the Zoom meeting with audio only. The one on the right with the glasses, that's the Zoom meeting with video and audio. That's the dog with the perm and the glasses.
So now we know. So, all right. Well, I guess so. That's good. So yeah. So that brings up the other point. We gotta keep our spirits up and just have fun, right? Are there any closing remarks? Any comments that we want to share before we wrap this up?
I don't think we're going to Gordon Bierce tonight, are we?
No.
Well, me and James wanted to say we miss you guys. We really enjoyed the meeting tonight. So we're glad to hear you all again.
Shamika Walker, hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's been a long time now. I'm that dog with the audio only right now. So that's
no,
right?
I don't believe that.
But both James and I are here, and we just enjoyed it. We really did.
Yeah, thank you for signing in. It's good to hear you. Does James have anything you want to say?
Yeah, hold on. Let him talk.
All right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing?
There he is.
Hello, brother.
He's alive.
Yeah, I still live. I live, Andrew. I'm still alive, man. I came in on the end of this, but everything sounded good, man, from what I hear. So
that's good.
You know, if we can.
Yeah, we haven't forgot about y'all. Hopefully y'all haven't forgot about us.
No, we hadn't forgotten about you. We had a lot going on.
No, I understand. I understand. Take care of business, and when y'all ready to come back, we're here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was funny. Andrew earlier this week wasn't sure if he could actually be the admin, and David said, "Well, why not?" And he said, "Dude, I'm on vacation." And David's response was, "Oh, we're all on vacation."
Everyone's on vacation.
So now we all have time on vacation, right?
Except Elizabeth, she's got an 80-hour-a-week job. Don't worry.
80 hours you want. You're self-employed.
Yeah, and me too.
I got published in newspaper.
We have any other comments out there? Miss Ray, Miss Odessa, Tammy. We got Josh on the line. We got Miss Valerie Gray.
I want to thank everybody who put this together because this is just amazing for me. I've never done anything like this. It's like you brought me into the 21st century. Thank you, David,
and fireworks are outside.
Andrew, Robert, whoever else is behind all this, Lee, right?
Are we going to do any of the other roles?
We will. This event was kind of a last minute. Like I said, the leaders of New Beginnings Toastmasters kind of helped us keep this event going because we had some speakers drop out. But normally we'll have a normal agenda, and that's what we're aiming for next week.
Yeah. I want to be able to applaud like out loud. So could we all turn off our unmutes at the end of every speech and just say yay or something?
Yeah, you can hold your if you hold your space bar down while you are. You can do it.
Oh, if only my face was there.
One hand clapping. Is that what you're saying? One hand clapping.
I'm concerned about feedback. If everybody starts clapping, it might get really crazy.
That's what's gonna happen.
Well,
We're probably better doing one of these.
I can say that at our previous meeting, the microphone that we were using in the ECPI classroom actually cut out our clapping when I noticed it when I was doing the playback before I uploaded the video. So I don't know how that would translate over on the actual cameras with individual phones, but I suppose it's worth a try at the next meeting to see how it plays out.
Well, just for fun, let's try it.
Yeah.
Everyone
Everybody
unmute. Can we hear? Yes, it's something there.
That's not bad.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't get like a really loud, high-pitched noise though. That's gonna be crazy.
We would just have to all remember to mute our microphones immediately afterwards.
Everyone have a good night.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll see
Nice
you guys
being
next week. We'll be try to get there at 6:45 next week. Okay, everybody?
I have one question
Bye.
before we all go.
What's that?
Does anybody have an objection to me uploading a video of this on YouTube?
I thought you were gonna ask for toilet paper.
No objections here.
So, no objections?
No.
for me.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thank everyone.
Great
Bye.
meeting.